Hey guys, what's up? Got another video for you guys. By popular request, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make 3D topographies in 3DS. You can create some pretty cool stuff. You could even get them 3D printed, like this one here. So, let's get into it. Starting off, here we are in 3ds Max. Slightly different interface. First thing we're going to do, like always, is we're going to go to customize and we're going to change our unit setup. Now, because we're in a large scale, I'm going to be changing mine to meters. Just hit OK. And that's set. Now the other thing you're going to want to do before we start is drag out this properties bar on your right all the way out until it breaks into two. This will have some more commands on it that we'll need in the future. Now to create these models you're going to need 3 images. One map with a scale bar on it, one with your site satellite if you want to do any accurate visuals, and you're going to need something called a DEM, a digital elevation map. Now if you guys don't know how to sort this, I'm going to show you guys later in the video how you can create these 3 maps. So here you can see I've got my satellite on the screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go into properties and I'm going to go onto the details. I'm trying to find out the size of the image so I can keep the same ratio of size in 3ds. I'm going to hit Alt W to make the quadrant full screen and we're going to select pane. You're just going to want to drag and drop from the center, and then in your parameters on the right we're going to copy down the same size that was on our image. So mine was 7000 by 7000. I'm going to type this in here. There you go. Now I'm going to zoom out, and as you can see we've got our plane. This is the same size as our image. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my normal map with the scale bar on and I'm going to drag and drop it on top of that plane, and you should see it'll appear in 3ds. I'm just going to move this tab out of the way. Then what we're going to do is we're going to want to go to top view. So again, like I said, we hit Alt W to change into the quadrant. And as you can see, my current view in the top view is wireframe. So we're going to click on where it says wireframe and switch it to default shading, which should add the texture to your plane. And as you can see here in the top right where we've got a hierarchy tab, we're going to select effect pivot only. Now the pivot is where you will move from and where you will scale the object from. So we're going to go on the move tool and we're going to click and drag this into the corner of our scale bar so that we can scale it from the scale bar. Perfect. So once you're happy with it that you're in the corner, unclick effect pivot only, and we're going to draw a plane that is the same size as that scale bar. So I'm going to do mine, say 50 meters by 250 meters. The main important thing is the width. As you can see, our image is larger than 1:1, so I'm going to move this 250 meter wide plane to the corner, and then I'm going to select the scale tool in the top left, and then I'm going to click and drag our map image until our scale bar matches our plane that we've drawn that's 250 meters. So just keep playing about with this and double checking until you're happy you've got it accurate. Now again, you can make this more precise if you have a higher quality image, which again, you'll see how to do later in the video. Again, I'm keeping it slightly rough. You guys can spend a little bit longer making this as perfect as possible. I'm going to delete that plane and zoom out. Now we know our current site model, the flat plane, is 1:1. Now let's start deforming this plane to create our actual topographies. What we're going to do is we're going to go to our modifier list in the top right, and we're going to click on the modifier list and we're going to type in a modifier that we can apply to this plane. The first one we're going to be using is going to be called displace, so just type that in and hit enter. If you look down, we're going to be asked for a bitmap in the image, and we're going to click and select our DEM, the digital elevation map. Now, you might not notice it straight away, but if you increase the strength, this will start to bend the plane based on the color difference and the gradient seen on the DEM. So I'm just having a quick look around. I know that my site is actually in the bottom of a valley, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to make mine negative because it means that my DEM is flipped. Now if you've noticed, when I deform this, it still remained very flat. This is because our plane is only broken into 4 segments, as you saw in the wireframe. So I'm going to click on the plane and we're going to increase the segments, or I'm just going to select it and type a higher number like 50, and I'm going to do this on both, and what you'll see is it will increase the resolution based on that DEM. Now I know my strength is roughly 10,000, that you can play with this to make it as accurate as possible. Let's apply our satellite texture. Click M on your keyboard and this will bring up the slate material editor. Looks a bit daunting, but we're just going to do a simple physical material that you'll find here in the left bar. And we're right click, going to select maps. We're going to go to general and we're just going to select a basic bitmap. We will put our satellite model image in here. And you're going to want to click and drag this to connect to the second modifier, which is our base color map. This will map the bitmap to this material. And then we need to apply this material to our plane. This button here, the fourth from the left, which will apply this material to your plane. Now, we can't have our plane just floating, so what we're going to do is we're going to add another modifier, which is called Edit Poly. This will allow us to edit the plane like a normal object. We're going to use the selection type as border, this third one from the left, and I'm going to click on the edge, which will select all of the edges. We need to add another modifier. There is a shortcut for the extrude on our properties bar. And if you select the move tool, you can drag down your z-axis and now you'll see it'll extrude just the border. The plane, we want it flat. So if you see on the right toolbar, we have this button make planar. You want to hit the Z just to the right of it and that will flatten our border so that it is all flat in the z-axis. Now you can move this up and down, make sure you're happy. And what we're going to do is we're going to add one more modifier to fill that bottom hole. We're going to go back to our modifier list and we're going to type cap holes. This will fill the hole and now we have our finished model. Now, if you guys want to use this in something like Rhino and edit, you're going to want to hit File, Export, and you're going to want to choose your export type as .obj. Or if you want to 3D print this, you're going to want to pick Staleography, which is .stl. This is the file that you can put into a printer and it will print from. Here is a recent site model I've made for one of my projects. Keep in mind, because I've zoomed so far in, my DEM file is pixelated when I export it. Unfortunately, there's no way around this. The way around this will be to reduce your segments to the point where they're somewhat smooth. So I'm making mine 24 by 24, and as you can see, while it's not super high resolution, you've still got the same gradient and the smooth kind of face. If you guys experience any kind of artifacts like this one in the corner, what you can do is you can just play with the number of segments until they disappear. And finally, for those of you that want to know how I made these maps, I've used a program called QGIS. Quantum GIS is a free program and I'm going to be showing you guys how I made it just now. So when you open the program, you're going to want to go to this drop down XYZ tiles and drag and drop OpenStreetMap. This will add this base map that you can see. I'm going to untick it because I've already got it on. And what we also want to do is add a Google satellite map. To add this, you want to right click on your XYZ tiles and hit New Connection. I'm just going to name my Google satellite and you're going to want to paste in this URL. I will have this in the description so you guys can copy and paste it as well. This is Google's open source data for all satellites and it will cover the entire world. I'm just going to drag this on and as you can see, it's showing all the mountains around my site. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn off this satellite map, so you've just got your street map, and we're going to on File, New Print Layout, and name it whatever you want to name it. So this is how we export images. Now, as you can see, we've default got A4. I want a square, so I'm going to change this to 297 by 297 mil. There we have a square. Now we need to add our map. If we look at our left toolbar, on the 6th item down, you've got Add Map. I'm just going to drag and drop this, and it will show the current map on your screen. Now, if you guys make any changes and they don't update, you can hit this Update Map button on the left. And if you guys want to play with it, you can select Move Extents and you can zoom in and drag and drop the map in this print layout. You can also manually set the scale, so I'm just going to play with the scale until I get something I'm happy with. Now here you can see 1 to 10,000, I'm really happy with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my scale bar. Click the Add Scale Bar button in the toolbar and drag and drop. And then what you'll see is we only need 1, so I'm going to decrease the number of segments to 1. I just want to make sure my unit multiplier is 1 and it should automatically put on the measurement that you need. We're going to go File, Export Image, and you're going to want to click the drop down and double check you've got a JPEG image, not a PNG. When I hit OK, I get the option for the size of the page. I'm just going to change this to 600 dpi just because it's higher quality, but when I did my final models, I did them as high as 1500 to make sure they were super high resolution. So now we're going to turn on our satellite map, go back to our map view. I'm going to delete the scale bar now because we don't need it, and then I'm going to do File, Export Image again, and then I'll do the process one more time for my DEM file. Now, to tell you guys a little bit about the DEM files are digital elevation maps. You can see they are giant images, they're black and white. Now, it is quite difficult to get these, but a lot of governments will have them as part of data packs they release for their country. So wherever your site is, it might take a minute to scour a little bit for it. And guys, that is all we've got time for. If you have any questions regarding this tutorial, please leave them in the comments. I'll get back to them all. Click here for another site model tutorial using Rhino, and click here for a video that YouTube thinks you might like. I'll catch you guys in another video.